I think one of the things that makes SEMA or the SEMA show in particular so iconic is it's a merging of commerce and art at the end of the day. Consumer shows are more the lifestyle stuff, B2B shows or trade shows are more the business stuff. And the SEMA show is one of the few that really bridges that together. Yes, we're predominantly a B2B show, except for the Friday now that we're offering the Friday Enthusiast experience. But it's still a place where the whole automotive culture and the aftermarket industry blends together and comes together.
Welcome to another episode of the Collision Vision, driven by Auto Body News. As always, I'm your host, Cole Strandberg. Today's episode wraps up our series titled The Art of Restoration, Reviving Classic Cars. We've explored some of the best minds and talents in the custom car industry, and we're going to finish strong. Today, we're diving into one of the most exciting and highly anticipated events of the year, SEMA 2024. Our guest today is RJ de Vera, Vice President of Marketing with SEMA, and an influential figure in the world of car culture, customization, and the aftermarket as a whole. RJ has seen it all at SEMA, and today we're going to discuss what we can expect from this year's show, the trends shaping the industry, and the builds that will blow you away. Enjoy the show. This episode is brought to you by Thryv. Ready to hit the gas on growth? Meet Thryv, the do-it-all small business software that can save you over 20 hours a week. Attract customers, manage day-to-day tasks, and keep communication simple with one powerful tool made for your auto business. Rev up your revenue today and let Thryv save you time so you can get back to doing what you love. Visit thryv.com. That's thryv.com to schedule a demo today. RJ de Vera, thank you so much for joining us today on the Collision Vision.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Looking forward to an awesome conversation and kind of one last hurrah. I think this is the last episode airing right before the SEMA show. So energy is at an all-time high. Yeah, man, we're all ready. I know our listeners are. I certainly am. I'll be there all week. Looking forward to a fantastic show. Let's dive right in. You've been involved with the SEMA show in one way or another for many, many years. Talk to me about your background, your story leading to where you are today, and then we'll sort of dive into the show itself.
Yeah, sure. So this will be my 20th SEMA in a row. I started attending 1997, and my whole life and career has been in automotive industry, basically 30 years. So I started my life selling parts out of my mom's condo because I was modding my first car and she didn't understand why. So my excuse was to sell those parts. Mostly on the import side of the business, all the import performance stuff in the early to mid 90s. That led to a job being an editor for Peterson Publishing, Super Sheet Magazine. Paid my way through college on that and did quite a bit of consulting at that time as the import side of the industry really was starting to grow at that time. So that led to a gig consulting for the Fast and Furious and helping launch that franchise, get that off the ground in 2001. I can't believe it's been that long.
Wow.
Had a little bit of 2 seconds of fame. I was a character. I call it a glorified extra in the movie. And so I still get residuals. So I'm not complaining whatsoever. That led to a life consulting for about 8 to 10 years, product development, marketing, a lot of event stuff. Built a lot of cars, did an MTV show even called Trick It Out, which led to one of my clients hiring me during the 2009 recession. So I worked for Meguiar's, which is a car care brand. I'm sure many people on this podcast would know about it because they're also a part of 3M. And if you're in the collision business, I'm pretty sure you're using something 3M, in your body shop and whatnot. So did that for about 12 years. And now I've been at SEMA 2.5, getting close to 3 years. This will be my third show, being part of the team that helps produces the show. Super exciting, a little bit more comfortable now in this space on the production side than I was when I started, of course, and I was drinking out of a fire hose. But that's my career in a nutshell. Hopefully that wasn't too long of an intro.
That's perfect, man. And some fun facts in there. I did not realize we had a movie star here on the show. That's pretty fun. I mean,
Yeah.
we've had some celebs, but no movie stars. So appreciate that. That's cool, man. No, I think I want to say this one coming up is my ninth
Okay.
SEMA.
Hey, that's a
Grew
good
up
run.
around the business, family
Yeah.
business. Yeah, man. And it's always kind of a highlight of the year. And I think this year will be no different. I want to say too, don't quote me on this. I believe my family's business sold some equipment for Too Fast, Too Furious.
Oh, wow.
So we got that tie in,
Yeah.
though
Yeah.
I'm not going to have any credits there, unfortunately. But that's awesome. I did just go to Automechanica over in
Okay.
Frankfurt,
Okay.
and it's the first time I've ever been. Incredible show. But
Sure.
I will say this, not to disparage anybody, the energy that SEMA brings is different than any show that I've ever
Yes.
been to. What do you think kind of makes SEMA such an iconic event in the automotive industry?
I think one of the things that makes SEMA, or the SEMA show in particular, so iconic is it's a merging of commerce and art at the end of the day. Consumer shows are more the lifestyle stuff, B2B shows or trade shows are more the business stuff. And the SEMA show is one of the few that really bridges that together. Yes, we're predominantly a B2B show, except for the Friday now that we're offering the Friday enthusiast experience. But it's still a place where the whole automotive culture and the aftermarket industry blends together and comes together. And I think that's what's really unique about it. Even from my first days in '97, when there was just Central and North Hall, and you could park at the parking lot up front, Silver 2 now, where a lot of the Shell activity goes on. You could drive up there in the '90s and then walk in the tent, get your badge, and then walk into the halls. And now we're one, two, three, four, five buildings. The South Hall has 2 floors, and we occupy all of those buildings and all of the parking lots outside. So it's become an even larger celebration than from 25 years ago when I was going. It was already like that, but as the industry grew, the show itself grew. And our VP of events likes to say we are a show that really reflects the industry and the market. And we just continue to evolve the show in that way. And as the industry and the culture has grown, so has the show.
I'm happy you're bringing us back because I want to stay back in memory lane a
Okay.
little bit and kind of compare and contrast what you saw back then and what you're seeing today. Over the years, what are some of the biggest changes to the show or innovations that kind of jump out at you that you've seen? Because I think it's a very cool snapshot.
Sure. I think one of the largest changes has just been the sheer size of the event. You're thinking, if you've been to the show and you've been to Center or North Hall, think of that being, that's it. And then we added South Hall, which had 2 floors. And I remember that hall coming to me, and I'm like, there's no way we're going to fill that. And we did. And then we started to fill all of the outside areas. And then West Hall opened up after the pandemic. And I was like, okay, how are we going to fill that? And we did. And so, I think a lot of the change is also the interest in cars and the different genres of, let's call it automotive culture that have sprouted over the last 20 to 30 years. Everything from overlanding to import car culture to Euro cars to the resurgence of certain sides of the hot rod industry, right? Even all the concours and collector car stuff. So I just feel that there's more and more people that have really fallen in love with cars, whether that's to modify them, to personalize them, to make them an extension of who they are, for better and for worse sometimes. But that's all relative, right? I mean,
Sure.
what's beauty in one person's eye may not be in another person's eye. I think that's the joy of the show and the industry, is that we get all of these genres together. And I think that is part of the biggest change, is the number of different genres and little other subcultures that sprout off other cultures. You take any category like hot rod or off-road or import, and you could dive into like 10 or 15 different sub-segments.
Sure.
You think trucks and off-road, overlanding, trophy trucks, rock crawling, camping, like the whole nine. And so I think that itself, it's just really fed, as it's like a snowball. It's like we rolled a snowball off. Yes, this is the 57th running of the SEMA show, 57 years ago, and the snowball just continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And so it's been great, seeing the progression of the show. And I've been an editor that's covered it, a car builder that's built multiple cars for different vendors. I had a small company that did body kits and wheels in the 2000s. And then I was part of McGuire's, of course, and that car care brand, which is a staple within the show. So I've seen it from many different sides. And so it's been great to just be a part of it. I always tell people I feel very fortunate that I work in an industry and have a career that I love. I won't say that I don't work a day in my life. I don't believe in that. Something is just work. A lot of people say that, but I'm very passionate about this industry and what I do, and I just feel very blessed that I continue to have a career in this culture and in this world that's given me so much.
Man, it's such a positive culture in our industry as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
right? So many different flavors, so many different styles. But at the end of the day, people who are showing up to SEMA are showing up there because they love what they do. And that energy is so, so positive. I remember you talk about the size and scope. For my first SEMA show, I walked into the collision hall and I was like, oh my God, this is huge. And somebody, I was with my dad, it was probably him. He was like, buddy, this is like one of many halls. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. And sure enough, to this day, I don't know that I've seen every corner. It's a goal. Maybe we'll get there. I think a lot of our listeners are going to be multi-time attendees as well.
Okay.
But for any first-time attendees listening, what should they expect when they walk into SEMA 2024?
It's hard not to be overwhelmed when it's your first time, especially at the sheer size of the show right now. Fun fact, we do about 23 miles of aisle carpet alone. So if you walked every mile in the SEMA show, you would have ran a marathon almost, right? So I think it's just to embrace it all. Like you said, there's an immense amount of energy that's very inspiring. One of the things that we do tell people is to try to have a plan when you come. We have a SEMA show app that can help with that. One of the first destinations for a lot of people is a new product showcase. That helps people kind of figure out like, oh, okay, I need to make sure I visit this vendor or this exhibitor. And that helps you kind of set your week or your days that you're there, whether you're there for one day or whether you're there all 4 days. So, there's so many things to uncover, both from, the business side, which is why most people are there to find new parts, to network, to really grow their business, to maybe take a few educational sessions. But there's also the culture and the lifestyle side of just the industry getting together. And a lot of that is a lot of the activities that we have outside, right? A lot of the motorsports demos, and we're going to have Nitro Circus there this year. We, of course, have our festivals, which are a little bit more new in terms of the music side and really bring that into the show element. But yeah, it's a long week. So, I would just say to any viewer that's coming for the first time to be prepared as much as you can, have multiple pairs of shoes, make sure you drink lots of water. And then, yeah, just really try to have a plan. Of course, there's moments where you need to be fluid, like you hear about a debut of a new product or a new build that you want to go see that. But, have certain things that you want to check off the box, like, hey, I want to make sure I get to the Overland experience or see, Optima Village or see this vendor or this build, or this OEM. It's hard not to get overwhelmed. So it's important that people make a plan.
Well put. And I'd add to the multiple shoes recommendation, no new shoes. Don't be breaking in new shoes.
Yeah.
Get something comfortable, reliable. You're going to put some miles on those.
Another trick is to also switch socks at from like when you get back from the trade show floor and whatever you're going to do for activities in the night, take a quick shower, switch socks, switch shoes. That's always a game changer for me.
Pro tips right here, people. Take these into account. Man, as we are really, by the time this airs, 2024 SEMA upon us, what are some of the biggest trends that you expect to see in terms of builds, technology, innovation, whatever jumps off the page, anything that you're excited about here specifically?
Sure. I mean, the SEMA show is all about innovation. So every year there's always an evolution of what's been popular the year before, and it kind of follows a path, or it goes off completely in a different direction. But I think most of the industry knows that off-road and overlanding and trucks have been a major segment of growth for the industry. So I foresee that continuing. Broncos, Jeeps, all the Toyota 4Runner, Land Cruiser, Lexus GX. All of those are really popular right now. As people continue to overland and trek, and just get off the grid. I think that's a trend that's in no short time is it going to kind of start to wane. I think it's just going to continue to grow. So I think that's a big one. Of course, because technology is evolving with new cars, specifically with EV and the different types of propulsion that are coming. Our Future Tech Studio area has grown. It started as SEMA Electrified with a focus on BEV, and now many parts of the industry are experimenting not just in battery electric vehicles, the BEVs, but also hybrid technology, new internal combustion engine technology, things like hydrogen or biodiesel or synthetic fuels. So we do have a whole area that's really centered on all of that innovation, because that is a big part of the industry moving forward. And then there's trends in every category. We say our show is 12 shows in one. So there's going to be new trends in the collision repair area, right? New abrasives, new spray guns, new techniques, and then you go downstairs to the wheel and tire haul, there's going to be new innovations there. So, I don't think there's many corners that you can turn at the SEMA show and not find some sort of innovation or progression. And that's what's super exciting about the show.
Love it. Yep, absolutely. Something new in every corner, it seems like, every year. And I expect this year's no different. As part of our series leading up to SEMA, we've spent a whole lot of time in that custom kind of battle of the builder conversation. So I know that's one that a lot of folks are excited about. How do you guys kind of view that? What are some programs? What should people check out? Be sure not to miss as it comes to the kind of aftermarket customization world.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that one of the major stars of the show are the cars, right? And the builders and all the people that put their blood, sweat, and tears into the vehicle builds. It's what a lot of people like to see. At the end of the day, we'll have 2,400 exhibitors, but a lot of how those products come to life is through these vehicle builds, these amazing vehicle builds that attend the SEMA show. We, of course, have the Battle of the Builders competition. This is the 11th year. This year it's outside. It's going to be next to Chip Foose and a display of his cars. And it'll also be next to a live build that's going on during the show with, if anyone's familiar with Nakai-san from a company called RWB, who Nakai's pretty famous for chopping up Porsches and making them ultra wide. So that's going on this year next to the Battle of the Builders stage. Battle of Builders itself has been a great platform for builders to be recognized, whether they're builders that have been builders for a long time who are legends in the game, like Bobby Alloway or Chip Foose, people like that. And also young builders. So we have a Young Guns class for 29 and under that really gives builders that are just up and coming a platform. And so we've got some great builders that have come through that and have started their shop, right? Their hot rod shop or their off-road shop. And then, of course, other classes that focus on, the import performance side of the business and the truck and off-road side of the business. So we're really doing our best to provide platforms for, builders and the builder community, and making sure that we do what we can to recognize them and bring them awareness and notoriety, because that's such a big part of how people fall in love with our culture, right? Is by seeing these cool builds and seeing what's possible and allowing people to dream of what they could make their vehicle into.
No, it's well put, man. There is no better advertisement, no better spark for a passion than seeing some of these vehicles out here. And we've had a few of the really top of the line builders on the show. And one of the recurring themes is, man, how does it feel to be an inspiration here for the next generation of car fanatics and builders? And the answers have been really cool, really thoughtful. Excited to see a lot of those guys here at the show with some incredible builds. Cannot wait. With sustainability being such a hot topic, how SEMA addressing the push toward kind of these eco-friendly builds, which we've heard a lot about, electrification, hybrid powertrains, how does that play into the whole kind of scope of the show?
Yeah, it's growing for the show. Again, we do have our Future Tech Studio and our EV and Future Propulsions area, which is in Center Hall. As the industry grow, again, our show is a reflection of the industry. So as that becomes more popular, it becomes a bigger part of the show. We do have some fireside chats in that area. Last year, I thought it was Legacy EV that did a live, I forget what they call it, a repowering, when they convert a vehicle to be EV powered. And I think, for a certain genre in the industry, that's just going to become more popular, especially if there's a certain type of vehicle where it's hard to get parts for a power plant, or that it's not very dependable. You look at old Land Rover Defenders, a lot of them are getting converted. And you look at other makes and models where it just makes sense for that particular owner to electrify it because it's just more convenient for them. And for others, it doesn't. So again, for us, we have open arms to all of the forthcoming technology, not just EV, but again, synthetic fuels, biodiesels, hydrogen power plants, hybrids. It's a part of the industry, and for us, it's just something that we, of course, want to showcase and provide a platform for.
Man, it's another recurring theme as we talk to builders is how do we balance keeping that soul, that feel of the vehicle, and throwing in all these crazy, cool new technologies that are going to play a role in the future and in keeping that interest among young generations. I'd be remiss. Oh, go ahead. Was there something you wanted to add there?
I was going to say, and I think we focus a lot on just the power plant, the propulsion as technology, but there's so many other technologies that are going to affect our industry, ADAS being a big one, right? And advanced materials being another one. Last year we had a company called Divergent, which makes a lot of 3D parts for a lot of the hypercars and exotic cars. They even have their own exotic car company, C. Zinger. And some of the stuff I saw them do and what they could print in 3D out of aluminum, out of Inconel, out of titanium, just blew my mind. And so, for someone that's just a mega hardcore car enthusiast and engineering enthusiast and technology enthusiast, all of this stuff is just like, it just makes you salivate in joy. And it's like, so cool. But to your point, there's also a purity in the things that were developed. Like I still have an analog car that's an S2000, a Honda S2000 that's manual and it doesn't have many of the safety systems and whatnot, and that has its feel. So you're right, we're trying to find this balance of old and new, and there's a space for all of it, right? And so that's the hard part for us sometimes is finding the space for all of it, because of course you do get some people that get very this is the thing that we need to protect, and we have to protect all of it, to be honest, and we have to push for all of it. We have to push for a technology neutral future where all of this innovation can really thrive.
Well said. No, a ton of innovation here of late. I don't think that's slowing down anytime soon. And fortunately, and this comes from a place of appreciation, it seems like SEMA is where a lot of folks learn about a lot of this new innovation. And it's it's going to keep going. From a business perspective, obviously the business of trade shows, it's a two-sided market. You need good vendors to attract good visitors, I guess, attendees, and you need a bunch of attendees to continue attracting good vendors. Talk to me about how you guys engage with both sides of those, how you make sure it's valuable for everyone who's going to step foot in the SEMA show.
Yeah, it's definitely a chicken and egg situation, right? So I'd say we focus on the attendee and the buyer side of the business and making sure we attract the most qualified and best buyers that we can. And I think that kind of starts that chicken and egg situation, because of course, if you're a manufacturer, you want to make sure that your investment in something like the SEMA show has a great ROI or ROE, kind of not just the financial investment, but the energy investment that you put in. So what is your return on investment financially, and what is your return on energy in terms of the time spent to use the show as a platform, to launch new items, to meet with your distributors, to find new distributors, and just to network with the industry. So for us, it's a little bit twofold. There's a time of the year where we're very focused on bringing on the exhibitors, and really attracting them and showcasing the value of the show for them as manufacturers. And this year we're going to have 2,400, so our largest since pre-pandemic, or since the pandemic. So we're close to pre-pandemic numbers, 2019 in specific. So it feels good to have that many vendors that are coming to the show this year. So it's shaping up to be our largest show in quite some time, probably in the last 5 years. And then from the attendee side, of course, I think when you have the crowd and the audience and the customer base, it's kind of the build it and they will come mentality. And I think if you build it with the people and the customer, then everything else kind of fills in, right? So it's definitely a symbiotic relationship. You can't have one without the other. So you have to have great exhibitors to attract the attendees. You have to have great attendees to attract the best exhibitors. So we try to straddle both sides, I would say, but at the end of the day, we do lean a little bit more on the attendee side, because we really feel that if you pack the halls filled with customers, then the exhibitor side would kind of, works itself out.
No, well put. And, automotive and collision industry aside, you hear about in-person trade shows trending maybe in the wrong direction for folks in that industry. So it's fascinating and exciting to hear of SEMA's growth. And I think it's a testament to how important SEMA is in that automotive culture. I mean, it is a center point where anyone who's anyone in the industry is in one place for 1 week every year. What role do you think SEMA and events like it play in keeping the spirit and that automotive creativity and innovation just pumping full steam?
Our CEO, Mike Spagnuolo, likes to say the automotive industry is a relational business. It's a relationship business. And so I wholeheartedly believe in that. I think our industry likes to get together, likes to have conversations about, what they're doing, how their business is going, what car they're building, which events they're attending, what awards they're winning, what they're watching. It feels like you're going to a good friend's house to hang out with a whole bunch of people that love what you love, right? It's almost like game day for football fans or basketball fans or baseball fans. And so I think events like the SEMA show and other events, they're just a center, what's the right word? Like a core center piece, for the lack of a better term,
Sure.
that gets everyone together. It's almost like the big family gathering, the yearly like barbecue, to really just get everyone from all sides together to celebrate, the industry, to celebrate our businesses, to network, to meet new people, to make sure old relationships continue on. So it's part of the magic that is the SEMA show, to be quite frank, and it's why I've been attending the event for 27 years in a row. And so I think being also being a part of this industry, I see it, with all of my counterparts, your counterparts, and people that are involved, whether they own a shop, whether they make a product, whether they distribute or sell something, or whether just as an enthusiast that have, a special car in the garage that's their car that they modify or accessorize.
Love it, man. And I want to kind of shift gears and talk about you personally and how it relates to what you're excited to see in this year's SEMA show. Are there any must-see builds, attractions, anything new and exciting that you personally just are not going to be able to miss?
Yeah, as the event has grown, we've done a great job of so creating some areas where you can see these new builds, right? Battle of Builders, of course, is a great area. Overland Experience for all the off-road stuff. SEMA Central, there's always some great build in SEMA Central. But we've got some new activities, like we're bringing Nitro Circus on campus. I think that's going to be super awesome. We've got a number of OEMs that are back or that haven't shown in a long time that are showing this year. Kia's back. I think Honda's coming through their HRC division. Toyota, of course, has the big booth in Center Hall, and then Ford Racing and Stellantis is back as well. Nissan's, coming back. They've been coming back for a while. So, a lot of times I love seeing what's new from the OEMs, and then on the show floor, seeing who's taken something that's fairly new and done something radically different. It's tough to say if there's a specific build. I haven't heard of anything personally, but I usually find a lot of that on Monday when I'm walking around and I start hearing whispers of who brought what. I've got a good list of some of the reveals going on. I'm always excited to see what the Ring Brothers brand are one of my favorite builders in the industry. I just love their style. It really relates to me. Being from the import side of the industry, I tend to hear what people are working on and what they're going to debut. So I haven't heard of anything specific on that front, but I'm sure I'll hear in the next couple of weeks. So I would just encourage people to visit those spaces that have a lot of vehicle displays, right? Whether it's Battle of the Builders or Overland Experience or any of the OEMs, things of that nature. And there's definitely certain exhibitors that they make it a point to bring a really big build. A lot of the car care brands do that, Mothers, McGuire's, things of that nature. So there's little tricks to the trade, I guess, when you want to find the coolest builds. I think Toyota Tread Pass is another great area that you can visit. So I know I rattled off a bunch of names there, but that's usually how I find some of the most exciting builds that come to the show.
That's part of the fun, right? Showing up and hearing the different rumblings and here's, man, you won't believe this in this part. So definitely recommend that. But in the spirit of folks coming in with a plan, where can people learn more and kind of go ahead and set their schedule about the SEMA show, the layout, the exhibitors, and what they can't miss?
So there's multiple ways to kind of plan out your SEMA week. You, of course, can go to semashow.com. There's a lot of resources there. We do, again, have the SEMA app, which is available to download your phone. That's the best thing to use while you're on the show grounds. You can even create your own schedule through that. There's a chatbot integrated with that, Bessie, who you can chat with to ask things about the show. Those would be the three biggest resources. Of course, our social media pages, our social media managers, very busy during the week and before the week, just doing, answering questions, answering DMs. But, our biggest accounts are on Facebook or Instagram. We, of course, have Twitter and TikTok and YouTube as well. I would say Instagram is probably the best if you're just trying to get a response right away. He splits his time amongst all of them, but it gets pretty difficult when you're trying to manage all of that. So those are all great resources. Again, I would really look at the app and semashow.com as the main conduits to really find out what's going on in the show to help plan your week, and then use those other opportunities just to find out what's going on and see if there's something that you're missing or something that you want to check out.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm going to be sure to include all those links you just referenced in the show notes. Make that easy for our listeners. One click and you're there. Guys, if you're on the fence about making it to SEMA this year, get off the fence, get out to Las Vegas. It is a cannot miss show. RJ, man, I know it's probably the busiest time of year, so can't thank you enough for taking the time to sit with us today. Give us a great preview, great overview. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. We're looking to see everyone there. If you can't make it, we are actually live streaming the SEMA show for the first time. So for people that just couldn't find their way to come to the show, and you should really try to find your way to the show. But if you can't, we are live streaming the show all 4 days from 9 to 5. It'll be the first time that we do it and kind of open the virtual doors to this trade-only event so people can kind of see what's going on. And then also, if you're coming to the show, we do have some great festivities to launch the week with Industry Night, where we've brought in some mega talent with the Goo Goo Dolls, OER, and Rain Wolf to make the kickoff industry gathering really, really much bigger than it's been. And then we're going to close the week with SEMA Fest to really celebrate the week-long gathering of automotive culture. And we're doing that with Cage the Elephant, Sublime, Fits in the Tantrums, and Petey. So as you can tell, we keep evolving the show. We're trying to make it even more exciting than it's ever been. There's a little bit more lifestyle, as you can tell, that's kind of creeping into this B2B trade show. But, the demographics are changing. Our medium age is getting younger. And, of course, the expectation of what the show is evolving and changing. So, again, we're trying to reflect the industry. We're trying to make the show, the best thing since sliced bread, to be quite frank. And so we do invite everyone to come out. It is a cannot miss event. It is a bucket list event as well. So Cole, thanks for all the positives and the support there.
Man, load me up on all those links. I'm going to incorporate everything. So this is a one-stop shop to learn more. Make sure you find what you personally can't miss. But RJ, I'll see you there, man. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much. We'll see you there.
That is all for today's episode of the Collision Vision. I hope you enjoyed our conversation with RJ de Vera as we gear up for a fantastic SEMA 2024. Be sure to tune in next week, where we'll be debuting our next series centered around shop safety. You're not going to want to miss that. If you'll be at SEMA this year, feel free to reach out, as I'll be there all week and would love to say hello. You can also catch me at the SCRS Ideas Collide showcase at SEMA, where I'll be speaking on why the era of the single shop generalist body shop is coming to an end and what you can do about it. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to hit that follow button wherever you enjoy your podcast or on YouTube, where the Collision Vision lives in video form. We'd love for you to leave a review, and don't forget to share the podcast with your network as well. As always, on behalf of the Auto Body News team and myself, thank you for coming along for the ride.